periods in which these monsters appear. Mac, you were talking about that ritualistic behavior. And it sounds to me like when you're in recovery, you're not merely breaking patterns, but you're also replacing those patterns with other healthier patterns. Like
right. Yeah.
This liturgy analogy is really, really good.
Yeah.
Because what the one does is it replaces healthy liturgies with anti-liturgies, which become. Yeah, go ahead, Cal.
Yeah, I was just saying because what I finally have realized is that liturgies are not optional, right?
Right.
Liturgies are not optional, and I really used to want to hold on to this idea of kind of this sort of neutral space, right, in which I'm neither for or against. I'm aliturgical, right? And thank you very much. I'll have my liturgy, on Sunday morning, and I'm all good. But what I have realized is that all of life is some kind of cosmic liturgy. And so you're either, you're either sort of casting the liturgy spell, for the good and against the bad, or for the bad against the good. Like I no longer think that you can avoid it.
I absolutely agree, and I would add this. Notice when it is that the dead rise from the grave and the ghosts appear on stage. It's always in the interregnum.
Yeah,
that's when the elder Hamlet shows up.
That's right.
When there is a crisis, and look at what Shakespeare's anticipating in Hamlet. He's anticipating the actual consequences of the age of reason and the Enlightenment and the age of science. He's right on the cusp of it, and it's as if he's haunted not merely by the past but by the future as well.
Right. He's haunted by the very thought. The very thought that there could even be such a thing as the spirit world, right?
Right.
This is exactly what's going on there. And, so as we sort of go deeper and deeper and deeper into sort of this myth of, this materialist myth, that is precisely when the sort of the bad, the bad guys get their, they can do their best work, like in the dark, right? You say, because if there's no light shining on the spirits, then, of course, he's wide open.
And Mac, for your listeners, I use that term interregnum. It simply means the time in between kings, which is seriously one of the most dangerous times for society and for human beings. Right. That's why presidential elections are so fraught.
I see what
in
you're
the
saying.
days that you see, because we are approaching a time between kings. We are transitioning one power from one, administration, if you will, but from one to another. And interregnums tend to be where the paradigm shifts happen in reality. And so definitely
that just unlocked a thought in my head.
Yeah, so that's why the monsters appear right always in those ages. They don't appear when everybody's fat and happy and everything's going well. Right. They appear when things are beginning to collapse. People have forgotten about their foundations. The model for reality is no longer asking the right questions. And by the way, that is the paradigm shift. It's not the failure to get the right answer. It's the inability to ask the right questions. Will always signal the collapse that's coming. And it seems to me that's when the demons appear. That's when we are at our weakest. And porn is occupying that space because of the technological explosion that we've had during your entire life, man.
That's right. That's right.
I'm old enough. I'm older enough than Kale to say I got to straddle, like Augustine or Descartes, the end of the one and the beginning of the other. Because I grew up in the age of radio, newspapers, and television, not in the age of the internet, but I got to see it born. And I remember when the Wii gaming console came out. I'm a professor, and the kids were telling me what it was, and I said, well, get ready for Wii porn, because that'll be here in 10 minutes. And they were like, what? And I'm like, look, I'm just telling you, we are in an age right now of what I call disorientation, where technology has allowed us routinely to violate Aristotle's rule of non-contradiction.
That's right.
Which means two people can't be in the same place at the same time, and one person can't be two places at the same time. But we do it with our smartphones routinely, where we are spiritually, emotionally, and psychically someplace outside of our body, while we are physically in a different space. And
Right,
so
right.
it does not surprise me at all that porn has become so extreme, because it seems to me that it is expressing a human desire to recapture a physical connection with the landscape and with ourselves and with each other. And I was on a Spaces last week where we were talking about that. And I said, make no mistake about what Elon Musk has done with X. Look at what we're doing now. We're sitting in a room in real time and we are chatting with each other. He's bringing something back through technology that was actually lost because of technology. And I think that is something that we need to note.
Yeah, and my own disquiet with technology, was finally, I finally became okay with this stuff when I realized that this is not the final destination, right? That what
Right.
we're doing right here is sort of learning how to do something again, like Greg says, that we have lost. But the end, the telos of this is ultimately hopefully, if I have anything to say about it, a sort of a deeper sense of embodiment, right? And what the cruel reality of pornography is that it is exactly a kind of accelerant to disembodiment.
Yes.
So if you think about, think about the image of the Matrix, right? And what Neo sees is, right, he sees those racks of bodies that are all kind of arranged in a sort of a battery formation. And if you understand the way the word battery comes from, our concept of a battery that powers something is a sort of a collection of a bunch of things all operated, oriented toward a singular goal. So you think of like a battery of an army, a battery of artillery, right? So the batteries are sort of this sort of ultimately sourced power, like going kind of into a one. So anyway, Neo has this image of human batteries, right? And I think it's really important that we understand, and this is going to be true. It's already true, but this is going to be true of AI, right? But understand that we've already been kind of living through AI, through online pornography, right? And so that what people need to understand, either those who are caught in the throes of it or those of us who are trying to like warn people about it, or both, right, is that the online pornography needs you. Like, you are its batteries, right? And so I think it's really important. And of course, you can immediately see what I'm doing here with the I don't even know if it's a metaphor, right? But that this is exactly like, the demons, if we will, the spirits need you. The vampire needs you. It's sourcing you and your blood because it doesn't have a life that on its own.
And speaking of this in terms of evil, essentially, don't forget, G.K. Chesterton says that the all-loving God will do no thing that he can delegate to one of his creatures to do. But Satan is precisely the opposite. He can do no thing except through one of God's creatures. So your point is extremely well taken. And you see the Matrix and us as the battery, even in the sense of a battery, like a source of power.
That's exactly, that's why I explicitly mean that. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's completely factually true.
Yeah. The Matrix itself is the vampire writ large.
Right. Right. And so you think of, you think of something like, I don't know, like Pornhub, right? Pornhub doesn't exist, right? It doesn't have energy or power until you have people clicking on it, right? I mean, and so all of it is sort of cascading from a whole series of people in the furtive shadows in their rooms or whatnot. It needs you, and I don't think people quite confront that, see that, understand that.
Well, and it's part of the seduction, because look at the apple that's held out. The apple that's held out. I've just finished. I'm finishing up Kale. I always think of you when I walk into my classroom when I'm doing my film classes, because Kale and I joked. They were like, if they came to us and they said, all right, you can live in any other age but the one you're presently in. He and I both immediately were like, make me a medieval monk. Give me the tonsure.
Not even close.
Send me back to the middle.
I can see that.
I'll be good. But the fact of the matter is, Kayla and I found ourselves in this time and in this place, and I'm going to go ahead and just say it. We decided that we were going to confront these things because this is the time that we were put into. But the vampiric myth is a rewriting is a reasserting